Okay, we are back. So now you see that we have all of our striping. This is striping that I've used to go around the heart shape. And so this is called pepper. In fact, the way that you would typically see pepper in its original form, just going to grab a little bijou tile real quick. So typically, pepper would start off as a circle or an oval. Again, I like to do a pencil line in the middle. And we do the same thing. Notice that we're always turning our tile so that in fact my right hand is not coming up at all. The palm, the side of my right hand stays exactly where it is so that it gives you some form of muscle memory. This is the most comfortable position for me to draw those curves. And then I could color them in like I did on the heart. I could embellish the striping differently. Obviously, this is a much faster way to embellish it. But remember, with Zentangle, it's never about a race. This is time that we give to ourselves to focus on something enjoyable, not really knowing where it's going to go, and just being a part of the process. So this by itself is pepper. I've just decided to do a variation of pepper by using hearts, but otherwise, same thing. Okay, so now, notice again, we have not gone over this pencil inside. So now I'm going to go to my second heart. I'm not tracing the inside. I'm leaving that because it will make my shading more dramatic. I do think that I'm going to reshape this heart just a little bit, not go quite as deep on that. Actually, turns out I'm reshaping it a lot. Once that's lines there, we just go for it. And then that would actually also change my placement. Notice, no eraser. It would change my placement of the inner heart, which is part of my string that I'm using to help me determine where I want to go. Okay, so here we go with this. Same thing. You can color one at a time if you want, or you can do as I'm doing now and just get in all of the stripes and then come back. Oh, I'm sorry, it came out of the screen there a little bit. Turn my tile because I got halfway. Now I'm going to work in the opposite direction. Now, because of the rule of Hollerbaugh, I had to stop when it touched that line. The rest of it would have gone under, because as you can see, this heart, it has been tucked under that heart. So I can only draw the parts that are still visible to me. The rest I have to leave. All right, now we can get back out there because we've come out from under the heart. I've got a few too many pencil lines in here, so I really need to focus so that I know which ones I want and where I want to be. So this time I'm going to ink this in just a little bit differently. And I'm going to leave what we call a sparkle in the middle of the stripe, just for something different. So I ink somewhere at the bottom, and then I pick a spot. I want to do it kind of roughly in the same place, but It's not going to be perfect. So there are, of course, different ways that we ink when you have to ink a large area. Now I am still with my 01 micron, but if you have a lot of inking to do and it's a reasonably sized space, you might want to switch to a larger one, like an 08. It has a much thicker tip, so the inking in is a little less laborious. You know, I find that some people find it very relaxing to do the inking in, and others, it feels quite painful. I do want to make sure that my glisten is not up by the line of my heart. I want it to come below that. My little sparkle. Now I have to think where it's going here, so I'm going to imagine that some of it's coming down because I do want to see some of it. We need the dark to really appreciate the light. Okay, and I can even redefine if I think that one of them maybe didn't come over far enough. We can always go back and give our piece some extra love. Okay, so now we have our two hearts in. So now let's turn to the border. For the border, we're going to start with a tangle called Muka. So this was Pepper, P-E-P-E-R. And now on the back of my bijou tile, I'm going to show you Muka. So Muka starts at the bottom, comes up and around, and then we turn that top into a ball, but notice that our ball does not touch. We don't actually touch. We have to leave a little bit of space, and then we aura back down. We're auraing the initial curve that we made. Muka can go in the opposite direction. What you always want to remember is that when you start the curve, you're on the outside. So I wouldn't go, if I go like this, sometimes we stop and think, well, is my ball going to be to the right or is my ball going to be to the left? Well, it's going to be to the right because this was the outside. Now if I turn it, now my ball could be on the left because the last thing I did, I changed where my outside was. So we just want to keep in mind that we are on the outside. So again, with this string, with my string of my border, I have this line so that I have a rough idea of where I want to be. But I'm actually going to be drawing over it. So I'm going to start at a corner, and I'm going to come up and over. Actually, if we turn it this way, it might be easier for you to see. And here's my ball of my Muka, and I'm going to let it come back down to a point. Now I'm going to reverse. This Muka comes up. I want one that's going to come down. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to bring it up and around to the ball and then back. And I'm going to alternate these, so I really do have to focus and think. And it's also good to draw in the air. The question now is, do I start at the bottom? If I start at the bottom and I go up and around, my ball is going to be facing the inside, which would be the same. I want it to face up. So instead, I have to start up here and come down and around. Okay? Now I'm going to go back to this one. So I start at the bottom, go up and around, and back, And then my last one for this side. Doing a little fancy border. So then I'm gonna pick which way to go here. This one did go up. It wouldn't matter here if we did the same thing. Actually, I think I'm going to. Each side kind of has its own starting point. So this one went up and out. So now I'm gonna try and go in. So I'm gonna draw it first in air to make sure that I'm starting at the right place, whether I start at the bottom or if I'm gonna start at the top. So I think I start at the bottom. Let's see. Yep, I do. Okay, so now I'm gonna start at the top. And you know, if for some reason we do it and it's in the wrong place, it's okay. This is Zentangle, and we just go with it. Now we're gonna go again for this side. Let's see, where do I go? Yep, from the bottom. Don't ever be afraid to draw in the air first. Better to do that than to put a mark somewhere that you don't want it and to then be upset or frustrated. Although I will tell you, those mistakes, what you think are mistakes, they're really opportunities for something that you hadn't planned. And frequently, I find for myself that I wind up then using my quote fix. I then sometimes tend to do intentionally on other tiles because I like what it wound up being. Oop. Nope, that's right. I thought I did it. Okay. So we could stop there, but we're going to keep going. So in each of these areas where the muka ball meets the stem of the next muka, I have this little curve. So I thought it would be nice if we just use that curve and we put in a heart, just to go along with our heart theme. So I can do all of my outsides. Right. All of my outsides. Trying to decide if I want to put one there. There's really no right or wrong. So if you're feeling it, then you should do it. And then in the same way, nope, that one's different. So now I'm going to go to the insides again, where the ball has a little indentation in there. I'm going to give it a heart. Any of those places that kind of feel right to me, I'm going to give it a heart. These are all choices. You always, even when you're following a video such as this, I would always encourage you to feel free to make it your own. These are just suggestions, but it's the most fun when you give it your own personality. Okay, last one, I think. Okay, there we are. It always helps too if you take a little bit of a step back of sorts, or you hold your tile out in front of you, and then sometimes things kind of come into view that you hadn't seen before. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I want to put a very, very thin aura around both hearts so that together, I'm kind of gluing them together in a way with this aura line. Because as I drew them, they were two separate hearts. But if at the end, I give a nice aura, remembering that an aura is where you're following the lines that are already there. See, I wouldn't go straight through here because then I'd be drawing over all of these things, and that breaks the rule of halaba. So I just want to continue going around, turning my tiles so that my drawing hand really doesn't move at all or very much. Oh, did notice I wanted to ink in a little bit more there. I can't go through this border, so I'll come out on the other side. And there we go. Now we've closed it off. So see how now it's more like they've been glued together. It's one piece. It's almost, if you think about stickers, now it's one sticker instead of it being two stickers. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to put some orbs in some of these crevices. I like to put a little bit of extra weight. Really does make a difference. If you ink the space that would have been down there, and I'll show you even closer, we're going to put a little bit of ink where the orb meets the aura. So this is really just wherever you want. What do you feel? Where do you feel that a singular orb or a group of orbs should go? You can vary their size. And we talk about orbs, not circles, because orbs make us feel circles make us feel very anxious. There are very few people who feel quite confident in their ability to draw a circle. So if we think of it more as an orb, it should not stress us out in the same way. And really at this point, my tile is telling me what it wants. I know that that sounds crazy. I thought it was crazy when I first heard it. But if you just kind of stop at different points and look at it and say, what are you thinking? Where does it feel like it needs a little something? Of course, the great thing is there's no right or wrong. So as I look at this feels nice and balanced, but I'm feeling that I'm missing something over here. So I'm just going to put one, and then I think I'm going to put a little pear over here floating, and so then I want to do the same kind of thing in other places so that it feels more intentional, that it wasn't a mistake that I did that I really wanted to have some bubbles, some orbs out in the open space. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I think I am happy with that. So now we're going to switch to our pencil. This is where the magic happens when we shade. So the first bit of magic that I absolutely love every time I do pepper is the biddle. I'm going to put some lead right over that pencil line, and then using my blender, my tortillon, I'm going to gently push into the paper and pull towards the center of my heart. You can lighten up the pressure as you move further out. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the outside line, not where my striping went over, just the initial shape of the heart. I'm going to put some lead there. And wait till you see this. So now, again, I'm going to pull my lead in towards the middle. And just like that. I've been doing this for 3 years and I still think this is magical. Just like that, I now have turned my two-dimensional heart. It looks very three-dimensional because I didn't take the lead all the way to the middle. For shading to really work, you have to leave some of the white. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. Have my lead there, and I'll just do it at the same time. Some people like to shade one piece at a time. Other people like to put all of their lead and then do all the shading. Now here, we do want to follow that other heart because with this one being on the top, it would cast a shadow down under it. It would naturally do that. And see how my inner original string that I reshaped, it just blends in and goes away. We don't really have to worry about that. Oh my gosh. It is just miraculous. Unbelievable. Okay, for our orbs, we typically just put a little bit of like a comma, especially in the bigger ones. It doesn't matter where you're putting it. They don't, with Zentangle, you don't worry about a light source. You don't have to follow a light source. And then we just go back and forth in those little areas so that we give some 3D, some dimension to our little orbs. We want them to have a little bit of love too. Now I see I forgot it here. Now what you can sometimes do with lead is you can go over an area that has lead. You're basically borrowing the lead and see how, oh, where are you? I just did that without even putting more lead on the paper. Oh, there's another one too. Sometimes we miss them and you see them later. And I can do the same thing with my muka. And maybe I'll put a little bit, at the bottom of the heart where it comes in to a corner. I feel that in the corner there would be a little shadow. There's no right or wrong with shading. Like anything else with Zentangle. It's just whatever you're feeling. Okay, and now we can go back. And we're just going to gently invite our lead into those areas. We just push and draw it out. These are small. It's always small. It's always harder to do shading in small areas unless you have a really, really pointy tortillon. And then it's not so bad. Okay, I think I have them all. What do you think? I am pretty happy with that. So once we finish, we always want to put our chop somewhere on our piece. Some people like to put them inside the drawing. Some people put it on the outside, the chop being your initials. So, I don't know. What is calling my name? I think I'll put it over here. There seems to be a lot of space there. And then we want to turn to the back. Looks like I used my tile upside down. That's okay. And I'm going to put today's date, which is March 18th, 23. And I like to write the tangles that I used. So I did do a variation of pepper, and I used muka. And I've got some form of tipple with my orbs. Then you can also, if you want, you could sign this fully since it's only your initials on the front. Please make sure that you hold your tile out at arm's length so that you can really appreciate what you've done. That is an important part of Zentangle, is appreciation. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves and hope to see you again soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.